everybody, my name is Kiahonfire and welcome to a Conan Exiles video. Today we're going to be looking at some more Age of Sorcery features and all of that good stuff, so let's get into it. So the Age of Sorcery introduces like a bunch of new things, including changes to dungeon armor, stats and all, and this is for armor that's like across the entirety of the game. It's not like how it used to be. So for instance, just to show you an example, looking at my armor right now, it says like it gives plus 10s in stamina, plus 40s in health. That doesn't mean that I get pluses in here anymore. Like, it doesn't show the big pluses on the side of what I get, you know, a bonus on. Instead, it means like this, let's see, this health helmet right here. If I was to take it off, you're going to see my health in my bar got reduced. So it's going to give you like that direct kind of, you know, it gives you a bit more health, you know. It's easier to look at, much cleaner, and much easier to understand than the previous one. So me putting this back on, I go from 580 health all the way to 619. And it's the same with the stamina one. I have 166 stamina right now, and that get reduced to 156. So there you go. That's just some examples on what happens there. So with that, the old dungeon armor is also different now in regards to that, because you don't have your old traditional kind of, you know, grit, encumbrance, accuracy, etc. So if you had accuracy stuff before, like accuracy armor, that's now different now. It's not accuracy armor anymore. For instance, an accuracy armor in the past would have been this, and now it is agility and strength. And it's called agility because that's going to be your new kind of accuracy attribute in a way. You're going to see you have different options for, you know, striking, armor penetration, dead shot with arrows. You're going to see it's going to affect that as well as other things like rolling and extended jumps and whatever else. So you can choose a kind of tree on agility, whether you want it to be more of a archery tree, or if you want it to be more of a, you know, nimble person kind of tree. So if you wanted it to be archery, you would be picking the green options instead of the brown. But agility itself has its own kind of bonus. You're going to see damage from agility is a thing. So we have damage from strength and agility. For instance, we have missile daggers. They are an agility weapon, so if we go and put those on instead, currently it's 0, but once I've had it equipped, you're going to see it goes up to 9 damage instead. And if I was to put on a weapon or something, or put on a strength weapon, that would also change. So if I was to just use a, you know, the strength sword here, I currently have, you know, 7 and 5. And then if I was to equip this, it would be 20 and 15. So a little bit extra damage there. And then that totals to your total damage. So just bear that in mind, that these are different things also. Anyway, like I was saying, your old favourites have changed now, and perhaps they've become more useful than last time. Perhaps armors and weapons from dungeons previously that you wouldn't even bat an eye at, you might start batting an eye at. So you can see all of this is strength. It gives a percentage on these ones. Strength weapon damage. So as we were looking at the stats before, that's going to help me with my strength weapon damage if I was to put this on. And then this one might be more worth wearing now, not just for pretties. It does concussive damage plus 10. And not only that, it does follower damage plus 4%. So if you want to do more damage with your followers, or perhaps you want a knocking out build, perhaps you want to, you know, have an armor that does this instead. And then these weapons are just pretty much strength weapons. Looking at the good old Silent Legion armor that has been a staple favorite for many throughout the years, this has also had a bit of a revamp. It gives you plus 20 health, plus 15 carrying capacity, plus 5 stamina, and then you have the plus 3% strength weapon damage, and the same for the helmet. And then these weapons here are just strength ones, as per usual. So if you wear these now, or perhaps you wanted a carrying build like you had previously, like an encumbrance build, you could technically just use the boots and stuff if you want that. I'll give you a little example if I was to put them on. We're going to have a look at my encumbrance right now. With my current loadout, I have 87% encumbrance here, so if I was to put these little booties on, now I have 77% space. So That's kind of the dealio there. So I find it a lot easier to understand than the previous build. It makes a lot more sense. Definitely like these changes here. Look at the Dreg stuff, that also is a bit different. You get stamina and health mainly from this. It's actually very, very appealing having it like that now. And yes, they will be similar to how they were in the previous version. I'm just showing you the differences now. And it's not like it just says, you know, oh, this is a, you know, strength armor or something, or whatever else. This gives you accuracy, or this gives you survival. You might see some different things here and there. And you can see with the daggers, they are agility weapon based, and the abyssal arrows are also an agility weapon class, but the sword is just a strength weapon. Looking into the stuff that you can get from the deep sea dungeon, that has also had a little bit of a tweak. You can see some nice stuff here. The shield is per normal, and then you have a variety of strength and agility. So you're going to be wanting to look into agility and strength weapons now, because they are going to be very, very nice in comparison to the old ones. Like I was saying before, damage, agility, strength, etc. is now a damage type, so just bear that in mind. It's going to be something you want to bear in mind. And it's the same with the armor. If you have grit armor, that's going to also affect your armor rating. You can get the same from items and buffs, and it is giving you a bit more of a detailed rundown in your stats now, so it's a lot more easier to understand. You can see exactly where all your points you're putting in goes to certain things. So I'm getting bonus stamina, and I'm getting 40 bonus stamina from the items I'm wearing, and you know, just all these attributes here. You can see where you've put in stuff. You've either got 0 or you've got something going on. And remember, for weapons, often or not, you have to holster them for this to take effect. One of the ones that's way more interesting for me though is looking at the Warmaker dungeon. Now these are two very big staple sets again. Champion's armor has been one I've really enjoyed putting on thralls and stuff, but perhaps not so much anymore. It has 5+ stamina, but it also has strength weapon damage, which is at 3%, which seems to be a common thing across the board. And then it gives some more stamina. So maybe it'll be just a little bit better just to wear on the character this time, and perhaps pick a different armor for the thrall now. That would perhaps give it something better, or whatever else. These cursed objects as well from the Warmaker's dungeon, you might want to actually consider making them now, because it would be a very quick way to give yourself corruption. For instance, if I give it to myself and you were to, you know, use it a bit, it will curse you and you will get the corruption. So you can see it's a very quick and instant way to get myself corrupt for sorcery. So it's a very good method there if you want to get corrupt really fast. But to be honest, with sorcery, there's many ways of getting corrupt. You could go in the unnamed city, or you could, you know, just take corruption brews, or, you know, just do corrupty things, or just do sorcery. That will give you corruption. Anyway, looking at the wine cellar armor, I never really bothered with the wine cellar armor much in the previous versions because they weren't very worth it for me, but perhaps now they will be. Looking at these sets, some of these give you double, so you can get stamina and health on this one, and the same with pretty much the rest of the set, but the arms and the boots and gloves. And then I look at this other one, and it also gives you double bonuses. How about that? They might actually be worth wearing. You can get more carrying capacity, and then you get that agility weapon damage in there too. And you can see that throughout quite a bit of it, that you get that extra carrying capacity, and then some bits just do the agility weapon damage. Looking at the other light armor of this set, you see this has a different bunch of bonuses, so stamina and strength weapon damage. So it'll be all about you know, moving fast, having lots of stamina, but hitting hard with this kind of build if you were to use it like that. So nice stuff here. And then of course the weapons all have a lot of strength and agility weapons. You see the difference there. I want you to bear in mind as well, when thralls craft your armor in stations as well, this can affect them as well in ways that might not be as visible, but you perhaps could see with the stats. So every piece of armor crafted in a station with a thrall present will now provide an additional bonus to any character statistics that will already be present on that item. So for example, if an armor granted health, a thrall would increase the amount based on the tier of the thrall present at the time of a craft. So if you had a T4, of course it would give a bit more, but if you had a T1, it will give you less. So there you go. Or if you had none at all, then you'd just be getting basic ass stats, wouldn't you? Do remember, these bonuses are added on top of the existing bonuses present in a piece of armor. So, for example, if you had a piece of armor granted 3% strength weapon damage, which we've seen very commonly across the board, it would give you a 5% strength weapon damage instead. So you would see it visibly change from 3 to 5 if you crafted it with a better thrall, just for example. And that would give you, you know, if that was a tier 4 thrall, that is what it would give you. It would give you a +2 strength bonus. Likewise, if it granted you 6% strength weapon damage, crafting it with that tier 4 thrall would give you 8% instead. So you get, again, a +2 in your strength weapon damage. So depending on what you use and upgrade with, you could get a nice bonus by a little few percent, but it will make a nice difference. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a decent amount, especially when you're plussing up several bits of armor with this on, and then it becomes even more. And you're going to see this with weapons and armors across the board. They will be a lot different now. One thing I will say though, I really hope they add this at some point. I don't think it will come in 3.0, or I don't know if they add it at all. But one thing that really irks me when it comes to looking at armors like this, you can't see what it does. It just tells you temperature, value, where's the buffs. We need, like, this little section here has nothing there. You could put it there. You could say like it's a strength armor or something. It gives you vitality, or you could just, you know, just put it on one of the pieces. I don't know, it just needs something so you can read it and be like, oh, I'll use that because that's what I want to do for my build. But because you can't see that, you end up building it and wasting the materials, or having to go to other sites and look at what they do. You shouldn't have to do that in a game. You should be able to just, you know, see what it does without having to waste your preciously farmed materials or have to Google it. Saying that, I know this game has a lot of things you do need to Google to actually understand them for the most part, especially when things get into the nitty-gritty, or you just have to test it out in a testing environment a lot, or go through lots of trial and error, I suppose. But yeah, it would be nice to have like a little thing on the side just to be able to see what it actually does, because with the armor I can't see anything what it does. And it's the same story with weapons. You can see the damage, but you don't know what type of weapon it is. Like, you don't know if it's a strength or an agility. Like, I can't see it. Another thing that could class as dungeon, which I don't really class it as, but technically it is the Well of Skelos, where you go through and get the obsidian stuff. That is another one. You're going to see with some of these, like these throwables, they are agility weapons, so technically your accuracy ones, they're going to give you help on your weapon for, you know, agility stuff. You see the throwing axe is a strength one, which is kind of weird because I would have thought that would have fitted under agility, being as a, you know, it's a projectile throwable, you know, kind of thing like that. You have agility weapon on the obsidian daggers, strength weapon on the obsidian sword. Same with the spear. The mace is also a strength weapon. Obsidian hammer is also a strength weapon, and so is the greatsword. You're going to notice also with a lot of the types out there, they tend to be like categorized now. So all of these greatswords I have in my inventory, they're all classed as strength weapons. So they will all help for strength in your stats. But anything like any daggers or anything, that seems to be all agility as far as I've seen so far. Even with the hammer, see, the hammer are both strength weapons. So it doesn't really matter on the class, it will tell you what kind of weapon it is, and that will reflect on what kind of damage you're doing from what place. So technically you have like 2 types of damage now. It gets a little confusing, but it all totals up into your overall damage after a while, so you know, it doesn't really matter. So let me just again have these daggers in to see if I can explain it a little bit better. I'm going to look at my agility, my weapon damage. We're looking at 750 right now. 750, putting these in. Now it's 4320. So you can actually see the fact I've put these daggers in. It was 750 before. Now I have less damage in my strength now from previous, and I have way more in these 2 sections. So you can see I have more damage from agility and more damage from my weapon. If you don't really understand it still, just read the kind of Q-tip at the top of the page in your attributes where it says agility determines the damage that you'll do with an agility based weapon. So if you want to use agility based weapons such as bows, daggers, stuff like that, if you want to do more damage with them, you need to put in more agility and have actual agility affected weapons, or put on agility buffing armor that will allow you to do more agility damage. I hope that kind of explains it for you. It can be a little bit confusing, but I hope that kind of helps. And the same with strength. So if you were going to bring around a great sword, you don't want to have, well, you want to make sure you level strength more and wear strength buffing things. You don't want to be wearing agility buffing things if you're going to be carrying around a great sword, because that just doesn't make any sense. So strength determines the damage that you'll do with strength based weapons. So there you go. So now you're going to have to think of two different classes. So if you want to be daggers, bow, spear kind of person, sorry, not spear, javelin, you want agility. If you want the rest of them, like the mace, the hammer, the great sword, then you're going to want to use this instead, aka strength. And that's kind of how it goes now. That's the two kind of differences you get there. So I know it could be a bit muddly, but honestly I do much prefer this system. It makes more sense, and it's less of a kind of hodgepodge. We just need them to, you know, add the actual statistic in knowledge when you look at armor and damage, whatever else, and that kind of will help, you know, the actual type this weapon is or whatever else. For the most part, you could even have it in the categories, to be honest. You could have the warrior, and it tells you in this category, warrior, could say like somewhere down here or something, warrior gives you all strength weapons or something, and then you could go down into your bows and stuff. I suppose it wouldn't really work as well. Oh no, it would work in here, minus the throwing axes, which I don't think they've got them right, but they might have, I don't know. Seems a bit odd that they are not agility, but again, you could just say the skirmisher gives you agility weapons, you know, and so on. The same with the bows, they could be agility, and then when you go into the other categories, that could be a way to do it. That would be quite easy to implement as well and make it look quite clean. Anyways, I hope that gave you some information on how weapons and armor are changing, especially within dungeon armors. Tell me if you would prefer using some of the dungeon armors now, or wouldn't you bother with them? Are they still not worth it for you? Or would you consider it, and would it be worth it for you? For me, I think I might start changing and, you know, trying out some of these armors. Like before, I enjoyed wearing some of these, and now I might not enjoy them as much, depending on what kind of build I want to do. Like if I wanted to do an agility build, I'm not going to want to wear the strength buffing damage armor. Anyways, thank you for watching, love you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!